Okay, so let's go ahead and get to the interview. We have a guest with us today, Christopher Davis for Congress. You on the line, Chris?
Yeah, I'm here, Chris. Hi, Paco.
Hey, man, am I coming in clear for you?
Yep.
Okay. All right, and Chris is running for the 33rd Congressional District as a Republican from Santa Monica. Do I have that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Do you mind telling our listeners that may be in the Los Angeles area, where the 33rd District is or what that covers?
Yeah, it's the old Henry Waxman District, the new lines. The district spans the entire coast from Malibu all the way down to Palos Verdes, including Beverly Hills.
Okay, you got a great area, man. I love that area. Okay, so let's see. Can you mind telling a little bit about yourself, like how you came across Ron Paul and what made you want to run for office?
Sure. So I'm a 25-year-old entrepreneur. I own a small web marketing and consulting company. I found out about Ron Paul back in May 2007. I was one of, I guess, a lot of people that I've talked to who got turned on to Ron Paul by that epic clash with Giuliani during the South Carolina debate.
Yeah.
And what attracted me to Ron Paul there was the fact that he mentioned and he understood what blowback was. Foreign policy had been my big motivating factor. That's what got me involved and interested in politics from the beginning. My first ever political activity was going down to the February 15th, 2003 protests against the war in D.C., protesting the imminent Iraq war. So I was anti-war from the beginning. That was my initial stance. But I initially assumed, being at these protests surrounded by a bunch of leftists holding signs for every leftist cause under the sun, that I was kind of on that side of the spectrum. But hearing Ron Paul, the first ever elected official I'd ever heard mention blowback publicly, I knew that took courage. So that got me looking into him more. And within 2 months or so, I was a self-described libertarian wanting more. In December of 2007, I got the email from Students for Ron Paul advertising the Ron Paul Christmas Vacation in Iowa. They brought about 300 students to Iowa to campaign for Dr. Paul before the caucuses. And going there and being surrounded by, for the first time, by hundreds of people who were of the same mind, of the same philosophy, and those were the best 2 weeks of my life. And it really got me excited, lit a fire under my butt, and stayed involved with Young Americans for Liberty as Students for Ron Paul transformed into that, and just kind of stayed involved with the youth and organizing for Ron Paul on campuses, that kind of thing. So that's what that combined with my business brought me out to Los Angeles, and I just fell in love with the area, and I want to do what I can to advance the movement in 2012. And I just think that we need a kind of our new generation of leaders inspired by Ron Paul to enter the political process en masse, because they may be able to stop Ron Paul winning the presidency, but they're not going to stop hundreds of Ron Paul supporters running for office.
Exactly. And I know when I was listening to Ron Paul, I always considered myself anti-war, but until Ron Paul came around, I didn't think you can be anti-war and Republican. So Ron Paul definitely, me too, opened up our eyes to a lot. Now, it's funny, I was just going to ask you, the next question was about foreign policy, but how do you feel about a possible war with Iran?
Well, I think that we are potentially on the verge of repeating the exact same process that we did in 2002, 2003, where the people, because they don't care enough to actually look into the issue and develop an independent opinion, are going to be swayed by all of this media hype. I mean, you turn on Fox News and you just listen to how they cover Iran, and then you have all these other news outlets kind of following that tune. It's really disgusting that no lessons were learned from the mistakes of 9 years ago. We're going through that exact same process, and this time it's going to be a lot more dangerous, because Iran will not be a cakewalk. Iraq was bad enough, but a third war, my God.
And then you got Russia helping them out from what I've been hearing, and China. So, yeah, I mean, from what Ron Paul's saying, Iran isn't going to be just we can go in and we're not going to feel the wrath. You know, we're going to feel something almost immediate from what he was saying. Now, we also know, being a Ron Paul supporter, he's very big on the Federal Reserve. So I definitely want to ask you your position on that. And are you in favor of auditing the Federal Reserve?
Audit as a step to end it, yes, of course.
Exactly. We want to get rid of it in the Fed. And then I take it you're also for the gold standard then as well.
Yeah, I would want to legalize competing currencies. I think it's stupid that so many people who claim to be free market, free enterprise people want the government to keep a monopoly on currency. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I know right now the only place you can actually put currency in is in Utah. And I actually talked to the banks out there, and you only could put in gold coins that were made by the government, like I think before the 50s. So, yeah, you're right. We need a free market so that way we can get rid of this dollar and we can start spending gold and silver. Let's see here. And I was checking out your website. I really like you. Have a lot of good information on there. Just want you to get out. Yeah, I saw you had something about the Lincoln Club in regards to your plan on immigration. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, I think they have a pretty simple, practical, three-point plan on immigration. Step one is secure the border. Regardless of whether in a perfect society you would want a free flow of immigration, you know, there are threats in this world. We do need a secure border. I definitely think that. Generally, we should know who's coming across the border. You know, I would want the many millions of immigrants who are here to be able to get a path to at least legal residency through a guest worker program. And then, you know, whatever you want to do, you know, whatever your options are as far as creating some kind of card or slip that they can identify themselves and as someone who is on that path to residency, and they're going through the process, whatever that is. I mean, I think that is going to be the most sane kind of path to get this. What we have is pretty much an underclass of 12 million people who are, you know, not even known to the government, and if they're known, if they're legally required to be, you know, arrested and all this. I'm not in favor of amnesty outright, but we definitely need to address the problem. That makes the most sense to me.
And not in favor of just rounding everybody up and dropping them off at Mexico. Like,
no.
You know, like we don't have the power to actually do that. Right? Okay.
No.
Now, I know since I've been in California, because I just moved here, I've been hearing a lot of people say there's a lot of liberals or a lot of Democrats here. So there may be, you know, quite a few people in your district that think Obamacare is a good thing. So if they, you know, came up and asked you, what would you tell them is wrong with Obamacare and why they don't need it?
Well, the simple answer is I would focus on the individual mandate. I think it's pretty shocking that a constitutional lawyer would have the centerpiece of his grand legislation that he spent the entire first year and a half of his presidency on. The core of it is unconstitutional, and I am encouraged by the fact that Justice Kennedy, the swing vote on the Supreme Court, looks like he's going to be striking down at the very least that part of the law.
Okay, Chris, hold your thought for a moment.